Marcus, go.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are so glad you joined us here on Level Up on this Monday, on this very first day of winter. Um, I'm down here in Florida, and it's
Is
rather
that
chilly
today?
here for, yes, it's actually the first day of winter today, winter
Oh,
solstice.
I'm in a
Um,
t-shirt in El Paso.
I'm sure some of you are rather chilly, but we're glad that you came to the igloo to warm up. We have a treat for you this evening, and we definitely want to welcome Miss Melissa Leitner. Did I pronounce that correctly? Okay, all
Absolutely.
right. We're so glad to have her as a part of our broadcast this evening. She has something very special that she wants to share with us, and I'm going to hand it over to Miss Krista Snow to bring her in.
Well, hello everybody. So I have an announcement. I am very excited to finally, after multiple years, at least 4, announce that the Level Up Podcast drops this week on Wednesday, December 24th, which I chose because it's my grandma's birthday and she's no longer with us. She passed in March of this year. And one of my best friends also passed on the day I launched the YouTube version of this. And so they were the two people that I talked to the most before I talked to any of you guys or anybody else. And they were both very excited about Level Up, and neither of them are here. So I launched Level Up, the YouTube version, on October 20th. Unfortunately, my friend passed that day, and my grandma had already passed. So on Christmas Eve, it is my grandma's birthday, and they're together in heaven. And I know they're looking down and they're excited because 3 years ago, they were excited when I started talking to them about my ideas, and I didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew I wanted to build something to help people. And I knew I wanted to build a community of people to do that. So I started from square one. I started building community with high quality people, and I started engaging with them in different ways, virtually, in these different singles groups for 30 plus singles, or in my church and people in my care group. There were so many people that I have talked to, but the first one that came into play as far as doing a series with me was Melissa Leitner. And it sort of happened in this just organic way that I didn't expect, because I thought I was doing Level Up alone. I thought I was building a podcast of mini series over different topics, from narcissism to business to neurodivergence to parenthood and prodigals, to all of these different things that I couldn't find when I went out searching on YouTube or social media for help or videos or information. I couldn't find what I needed. And so I built something to fill the gaps. And the first thing that I did was a narcissism series. And I did not want to do it alone, because I knew I needed someone to have the conversation with me. I had met Melissa through one of these groups, and we didn't know each other very well. We had
Mm-mm.
had a few conversations, and one night I just felt this prod that I should ask her if she would want to do a series with me on narcissism, because that was the most passionate topic at the time as I launched that I wanted to talk about, because I didn't find the help and the real talk that I needed after coming out of a narcissist relationship. And in the process of healing, I wanted to give that help that I didn't see. And what's the best way to do it? Creating a conversation. So I asked Melissa if she wanted to do it, and she said yes. And I'm still not sure why. People have said yes every time, whether it be Juju, who's now my co lead, or Marcus, who's the host of my Monday YouTube, to show the behind the scenes of what people are going to see on the podcast and other areas of Level Up. And I'm not sure why Melissa said yes, but she was the first one for a podcast series to say yes. And we went through a lot of scariness, anxiety, personally, anxiety, me like Melissa praying over me because I was just like, I can't do this. I'm not cut out to talk publicly. And that's why we need each other. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I'm building this as community. So, Melissa, why are you a part of this? I know you told me when I asked you to join that you felt a stirring even before I asked you if you'd want to be a part of it. And I want to know everything.
Yeah, I before you and I had met, I had started my healing journey and I was well into it when we had met and started chatting and the different group chats and stuff. And um I had been going through a period of almost, it felt like I was wrestling with God and feeling forgotten on one hand, and then on the other hand, like knowing who God is and how he loves us and how he felt about me, being like, well, what is my purpose? And I just felt like through all of that, through all of the pain and hard things that I had gone through, there had to be some sort of purpose for it, especially when my pastor is preaching over and over and over again. Your pain turns into purpose. There's beauty after the storm. And one
And love
day,
should not break you into pieces.
right? Yeah. There was, there was one day I was out living life, doing things, and it just suddenly, it was like in the midst of a conversation with somebody, I knew what my purpose was. And my purpose was to talk about the things that I had been through to help other people come out of that, because it's not a me thing. There's lots of people who are dealing with this,
Mhm.
have dealt with it, are going through the healing, or maybe just starting their healing and going, what do I do? Because I was there. And so I think being vocal
Did
about
we know
it,
each other at this time?
we had just recently met, yeah. Because
Okay.
believe it was like, if I'm remembering correctly, I was in that conversation with somebody, and afterward, you and I went and we were talking about our similar experiences in dealing with narcissism. And that was kind of, I had known about your
Oh,
podcast.
I stood up for you in a chat.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
Yeah.
how we started talking. I'm trying to remember how we started talking in the first place.
Well, it was because you stood up for me in the chat. And my goodness, why does it feel like it wasn't that long ago, but really it was?
Yes, this is all like flooding back to me. How did we start talking? Tell the story. I love stories.
I don't even remember who it was. Someone said something, and I was just like, whatever it was that they said, I was not at a point where I could verbally stand up for myself and go, no, not okay. And so I was just like, I'm done for the day. Bye. And I found out later, you had stood up for me. You had said something. And so then you and I had started really talking. And I had already known about your podcast, everything that you were doing, and finding out about it just from us being in the same conversations together with, 20, 30 other people. But
Yeah. Yeah, we sort of
you,
knew each other, but like from a distance.
yeah, and you learn. I mean, you would think, okay, you're in a group chat with how many people? How do you get to know them? Believe me, you do. It's
Yeah.
totally a God thing, I think. But that's what happened. We got to know each other and we found out little bits about each other. And then you stood up for me and we started really talking and discovered we had this shared experience. And this was all right around the time where I was like, I finally know what my purpose is. And so here we are.
It is a God thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, awesome, ladies. I really enjoyed that. I would like to ask, I mean, I'm sitting here as the host, but I'm also a very interested um,
Yeah, he knows nothing about a
spectator
podcast.
regarding this subject because I've talked with people who have dealt with narcissism and dealt with narcissistic people, and um, uh, the experience everybody has with this is so fluid. But narcissism, it seems to be this very dark characterization that leaves a very deep wound on people that
Mhm.
have to deal with people that have these personalities, if you will. But Melissa, if I can ask you, what from your personal experience, how would you define narcissism?
Mm, just to, and it's just a very, very small piece of it because I think that there can be several different ways that narcissism shows itself. But what I dealt with really was just a lack of care for other people, very me centric.
Mhm. I think that's the crux of narcissism, really. The best way that I feel like I can describe it is if you look at this like bar chart graph, you see different levels of empathy. Someone who has more empathy than the average person. The average person with a level of empathy that does not let people take advantage of you. This is a healthy level of empathy, but also self love. The one who has all empathy usually has no self love and or not enough. And the one who has the average range, like a healthy person would, has empathy and understands stories, but not to the extent that you will let someone take from your life and take advantage of you because you're not blinded to it. You're able to see your own worth. I wasn't able to. And someone with no empathy, that is a narcissist because they don't care at the end of the day. A true narcissist has no empathy. They don't care about who they're hurting. And people use narcissism as a very stereotypical term, but when someone says, I dated a narcissist, usually it means I dated someone who was selfish or had selfish tendencies, as we all do. And some have more than others. But narcissism is something very, very destructive. And it's very rare to experience that. And a lot of people don't understand it. So it's really hard because narcissists with no empathy, they will only target the one that is an empath with all empathy and a lack of a healthy level of self love. Whereas the average person has empathy, but they also have a level of understanding of self love and what is good for them in a way that they will not allow people to be destructive to their life, their finances, their physical being, because they see that clearly. I did not see that clearly. I didn't see it clearly. So I was a perfect target for someone who wanted to take advantage of me and my desires for a relationship and all of that. And so it made it easy for me to be taken advantage of, but it left me in a place where I didn't understand how it was even possible. I would have called myself stupid and foolish and an idiot. I called myself that while in it. I didn't know how to get out of it. And I think narcissism is it's an important term, but it is overused and overgeneralized to a point where people don't really quite understand um, how deep it is and how destructive it can go. And so, this 3-part series that we recorded is really not what I was planning to launch this podcast with. I was planning to launch it with healing. We talk about the 5 love languages and triggers and emotions. I wasn't trying to put my deepest, darkest, hardest moments out there first, but I felt like I was supposed to. And it was just, it just so happened that I recorded it first as well. So it makes sense. I just wasn't ready to put that out there first until I realized this help and real talk and how dark and ugly it can get. It doesn't always exist. And it's really important to have those conversations. So, we started talking about Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox. And Melissa, do you remember like the story and the ring and everything?
Yeah, I do. Because we started right around the time that they split. I think it had just broken. And so you and I had been watching a bunch of videos and reading stuff about some of the things that were coming out that had happened, and just being like, oh man, this is so similar and just so blatantly out there for the public.
And it was interesting that it all sort of happened as we were recording, because we started recording this series September of 2024. And over Thanksgiving, as we were finishing, and completing talking about the last 2 episodes, we saw that they had broken up and, wanted to talk about all of these things. But it was interesting to see the similarities from my own situation 5 years ago after having come out of it, and the things that they talked about, like their love story that was epic, written in the stars, as they thought, just like I thought I connected with this person that I was dating, in a significant way. And they called themselves twin flames, one soul split in 2 pieces that found each other. But at their engagement ceremony, at the proposal, it went viral when they drank each other's blood in front of the public. And then he had a ring made for her that was 2, like pear-shaped emerald green and diamond like crystals that was painful because it had thorns embedded into it. And she said, Megan Fox described it as love being pain. And that was all she knew. She didn't know how else to describe it other than that it was great when it was great. It was really bad when it was bad. But love means pain. That's what she said it meant to her. And the song that Machine Gun Kelly wrote for her, it was interesting to me as well, because he said something like, I'll find hell to be trapped together with you. You shouldn't have to find hell when a relationship is healthy, because love should not break you into pieces. It's not easy at all, but it doesn't hurt so bad. It shouldn't hurt so bad.
Yeah. Well, and then something too that struck out to me when we were dealing with all of that was that picture of them together at some, I don't know if it was an award ceremony. Anyways, they were photographed together, and they were chained together by their nails.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And there was a lot, even like in his engagement ring, there was a lot that just felt like, I'm stamping you, branding you with me. That's just not healthy.
And I think that's really the crux point of what narcissism comes down to. It is someone who wants to control you. And the way that they do that is by trauma bonding you and making you feel like you need them to be able to survive, to exist. and they validate you in the way that you need to be validated enough to make you believe that they can control what your worth and your value is based on how they describe it. And it's so scary to be trapped in it, because I never would have thought it could happen. I would have called someone crazy to get trapped in a physically abusive situation, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, financially abusive, or being taken advantage of or lied to. It's hard to see it when you're in it. And that's why you need people, especially if people understand that one thing, because a lot of people don't understand narcissism, and it's easy to sort of blow it off or give you advice that they think that you need. But unless it makes sense to you, it's not going to click. And if someone doesn't understand what it's like, it's really hard to get advice that can drag you out of that pit of despair that narcissism and a narcissistic relationship can leave you in.
So if
So,
I can ask you guys, ask you ladies a question, just from my understanding, because I've heard the term narcissism, and I always thought of it as a selfish person or self-centered person. But from what you all are describing, it almost seems like that's too surface level. It
mhm,
almost, as I'm getting hopefully getting a better understanding of it, it almost sounds like the selfishness has reached a point that there's almost a loss of conscience. You don't
mhm,
you are out of touch with humanity. It's almost like I am legend. I'm the only one. Um, uh, well, not the only one on earth, so to speak, but the only one that matters. Um, and that it to that's a if I'm understanding correctly, that seems like a really dangerous person to be around.
yeah,
Yeah, my ex always believed he was the smartest person in every room.
Mm.
mhm.
I always felt like if I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
Yeah, same,
Yeah.
100%.
I need to find another room. But yeah,
Yeah,
I personally I appreciate this because it gives me new depth of understanding of the word and just how um, really dark it is. It almost sounds demonic to a point. Is that
Well, and
safe to
I
say?
well, and I like what Krista says, where because it is very much thrown around, and somebody gets into a fight with their boyfriend or their husband or their wife, and well, they're a narcissist. But
mhm,
it takes a lot more than just being selfish, because let's be honest, we can all be selfish.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um,
yeah. I think there's no accountability when you're dealing with someone that is a narcissist, because if they have no empathy, that means they are not feeling for the story that they see in front of them. So when I was cheated on and sitting across the living room from my ex-boyfriend, and he was watching me bawl and his heart wasn't changed. I mean, he seemed like he felt bad, but there was no change in behavior as exhibited, over the next several months. And when there is that, it's not even saying that someone is a bad person, but someone is not trying to love you better. They're not trying to grow. And when things are revealed to us, we can decide whether to ignore it because we don't like what we're hearing about someone who is unhappy with us, or mistakes that we made or didn't make, or whatever, or we can grow from it. And empaths apologize too much. Therefore, narcissists have an advantage to be able to take control of that situation and leverage that to get what they want at the end, which is ultimately to not have to be accountable for their behavior. And it just comes down to, I didn't do it. Well, if I did do it, I didn't mean to do it. And if I did mean to do it, it was an accident. But if it happened, you made me do it.
That's always
And
my
that's
favorite.
sort of what it always comes down to.
Yeah. There's always somebody else at fault.
Yeah.
So there's a
Yeah, and
total
it's really
lack of
hard.
responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think there's not a lot of resources out there. And so, this was something that shocked me when I went through, um, starting from like 2018, 2019, officially ending around the end of COVID, like end of 2020. Um, it was really difficult because I didn't understand how I even got myself in this situation. But I also didn't feel like I could be honest about it, or I didn't know how to ask for help. And I just felt like I needed to s- survive in in a way to save face after investing so much time and patience and money and even losing friendships and family relationships for the sake of this person and what they wanted, and how they sequester you, because that's that's how you make someone do what you want them to do. You pull them away from their community, and you do it in a way that makes them not even realize what's happening. So when we started recording the series, Melissa, you and I were both in a place of having healed and done a lot of discipleship, mentorship, therapy, like
Mm-hmm.
personal, professional development and growth to be able to live in a more healthy way. And so, even from a year ago to now, we've grown so much from what you hear on the podcast and us describing the struggles that we had gone through, but from the perspective that we were over a year ago. And then that first intro episode recorded a few months ago sort of talks more about where we are now in our lives. And I think it's just really impactful because you make your own choices. How do we want to respond? We can be bitter and resentful about what we have gone through. We can be unforgiving, or we can change the trajectory of where we want to go and let it go. And I think that I have found so much freedom in and healing in the community that I've built with Level Up, and conversations like this, being able to talk about a topic that someone else understands, not at the same level. It's not a comparison. You had kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a mom. Like, you had kids with your ex, and co-parenting is a whole nother layer, ball of wax. Like, I think it was so helpful to be able to talk to people um about these different topics, and to do narcissism with you first and feel so understood. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like we were able to be open and vulnerable in a really powerful way through that, with each other on display.
Yeah. There was a lot of validation in it too, because, I mean, like we have both said tonight, we were in therapy doing, all of these things to heal ourselves and to be better. But I mean, still sometimes even today, there are moments where I'm like, did I really go through that? And I have to remind myself, I'm not crazy.
Hmm.
These things did happen to me. And so having someone like you to talk through and talk about that stuff. I mean, when we were recording this series, there was a lot of healing for me. Just
a lot of
in
tears
talking. Oh my gosh.
for
Yes.
me.
There would be times you and I would end it and I would be like, I need a minute or 10. I'm just going to go over here and cry. And I would.
Or we'd be like, I didn't expect all that to come out. Like,
oh yeah, that was probably my number one reaction. Like,
that was hard.
What story did I just share?
Exactly. But when we're on the couch with each other, we're just like free to talk. And then afterwards realize, oh my gosh, we just told the public all that too.
But it felt so safe.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that there's a lot of freedom in that because there's not a lot of safe places where someone can just say, hey, friend, let's talk deep.
Mm-hmm.
And not be afraid of gossip mongering happening because of it, or secrets being spread, or judgment for your mistakes. Like when you don't feel judged, you can just come to the table and sit down and not have to hide because there's no spotlight on anybody unless they want to talk, and then they can. But I think the way that the world is built is so much built on validation and a image that you have to show and a way that you need to show up. And there's a lot of pressure on people. And narcissism, that experience broke me down to rock bottom in a way I didn't even feel like I was worthy of looking for a job.
Yeah.
And to me, that was insane that was how I felt, but I didn't know how to get out of it, you know? And so the help along the way, I think, is just what Level Up is supposed to be. We're not going towards some type of destination or success model. We just have a couch where people can come sit and hang out and talk and get help if they need advice, or if they just need a shoulder to cry on and don't want to say anything at all. I feel like the world is really ugly and cold and dark. And with the igloo, you know, on these lives, I want to be able to show the real faces, the real people, the stories behind what you will see coming out of Level Up, whether it be the podcast and Narcissism that drops in 2 days, or with other things that we do, you know, focused on like the political division in the country and immigration, or these YouTube lives that show the chaos behind the scenes and the making and the real messy, raw authenticity behind it all. We've come a long way, girl.
Yeah, we have. And I would say, come to the couch and watch your life pivot.
I love that. Pivot!
Thank you for knowing exactly
if
where
you know,
you
know. I'm sure Juju's like, she gets it too. Marcus, do you know what we're talking about?
I do. I remember when we were talking about pivot, but I couldn't remember exactly.
Friends.
That's right. That's right.
You can look up the scene after the episode. It's great.
I definitely will.
Get Frienducated.
Yes. I have watched Charlie Brown because of Marcus. Marcus can watch that episode of Friends and learn.
She gave you a 10-year assignment.
I have homework now.
No. I said that one episode.
Okay.
All you have to type in is pivot.
I'm giving you the 10-year assignment. Watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I haven't even watched the whole thing.
I'm actually looking forward to that. Yeah. But you guys, in talking about narcissism, how, and by the way, anybody that's listening or will be listening, we invite you to join us because we talk about great subjects like this all the time. But somebody that feels like, as you guys have already gone through and by the grace of God come out of What would be you all's advice to a young lady who is feeling trapped with a narcissistic man, or um, a young boy or a teenage boy that's with a narcissistic father? How do these people get the help that they need?
It's
That's
a
a good question,
I know
it's
that
a
Melissa.
really good question.
I
Yeah.
know that's a loaded question, but
I
would
started
you have
off with
advice?
podcasts. um, there are some people who are out there and have healthy voices and healthy advice. Um, also, the church. My pastor was a great speaker, obviously. But what I'm trying to say is he was really great at, what is the word I'm looking for? Encouraging. He was a great encourager towards health. Um, and I'm always a big fan of counseling, getting yourself in some therapy, getting some healthier mindsets for yourself, because then you'll find how strong you are.
Sure.
It's my turn now, I guess.
Spotlight.
I'm gonna get dramatic. Hold it. I am talking to you right now. If you are in a situation like this and you're not sure if it's really that bad, because you're able to explain away how it might not be that bad, but if there is an unsettling in your soul and you're not sure if this person is best for you, you are not alone. You're not alone. There's a whole series of 4 episodes dropping on Christmas Eve that you can listen to, but we are here too. Level Up Podcast Squad at gmail.com. You can tell us if you need help. Tell us your story. Ask for advice. Reach out. You are not alone, my friend. I promise you are not alone. And it is not the end. Tough times do not last, but tough people do. You are worthy. You are valuable. And you are so, so loved. Please know that if you don't hear anything else from this.
Um,
There's my message. Let me wipe my tears.
so Krista,
Woo.
um, having come out of a narcissistic situation, praise God that you did, by the way, and you as well, Melissa. Um, can you give us some? Can you talk about where you are now and how what God is doing for you?
Yeah. Around October of 2022 is when I decided I wanted to launch something to help people. I wanted to launch something to help them level up and fill the gaps if they weren't quite sure what they were missing. But if they're not happy, like I wasn't happy, and they felt like their lives were being diminished to a level of less than their potential, and they needed help, this is for them. So this is where I am now. I started this with Melissa recording the very first series, which wasn't supposed to be the first series, but it is going to be now because, yes, even though this was the most emotional one, I wasn't planning to put it out first. This is the story that changed my life. This is something I didn't know existed. And now that I know it does, I want to help people out of the pit if they find themselves there. And I want them to know they're not alone. So my grandma passed in March and she was excited for Level Up. And in honor of her birthday on Christmas Eve, I'm dropping the whole Narcissism series, all 4 parts at once. So it can help anyone they need. And if they have questions, they can reach out. And Juju, thank you so much, Juju, has created the Level Up Pod Squad website, leveluppodSquad.com. Launches as well in parallel with the podcast launch. And I'm so grateful. She has done an amazing job putting this together, and there's no way I could have ever done this. So basically, I have the YouTube live with you, Marcus, as host of the one thing that I don't have to be the host of, and I can just be real Krista like this, little crazy, but this is what you get. This is me every Monday. The podcast series, every mini series is very, very high quality and intentionally done to be educational for whoever needs that particular topic and the resources there. And the website will have, will be the central hub of everything that happens. So that's where I am.
Well, Melissa, where
yeah, Melissa, what's up with you? Where are you at?
Well,
well, drum roll.
I want to introduce everybody to someone. This is my fiance, Josh. And
well, hello, Josh.
Hello.
We're getting married in a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit less than that.
New Year's Eve.
Congratulations.
So that's where I've been.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is redemption. This is just
Oh, yeah.
redemption. When a story seems like it can't go anywhere else because we struggle with the darkness of the ugliness, and maybe someone doesn't want to accept that baggage. It is amazing to align with someone who does. And Melissa and Josh, oh my gosh, what a story of redemption to be here now, over a year after recording this series, and now Melissa's getting married and I'm launching Level Up.
It's been a big year.
How'd you guys meet? Tell us the story.
Well, we met online, and we had both kind of taken a break from being online.
Mm-hmm.
We were both individually in therapy, and my therapist specifically had said it's time. And so I had gotten back on there and joined a new app based on just a passing comment that my mother made. And she had about a week or so previously joined the same app based on a friend of hers saying, we got to do this with me. And we were both on that app.
You met a week after getting on a dating app?
Well, it was a little bit, yeah. It was maybe a couple
This
weeks,
is
but yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it
And
was within,
the exception, not the rule.
well, but for both of us, for neither of us was it the first time we had been on dating apps. Like it
Yeah.
was kind of, we had both taken a break from it, and then so
We
it
were both nudged.
God just nudged through my mom, through her friend, and then we were both on that app for a very short time, as it turned out.
So when did you meet?
Oh, it was just before Easter, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it hasn't been a year yet. We're fairly quick.
We have.
And then our first actual in-person date was May. Must have been.
It must have been the very beginning.
Yeah.
No, it was April. It was the end of April. It was like
Okay.
the week after Easter or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Was there a moment you guys knew, or did it just happen and there was peace throughout?
Well, I think both of those things is true.
Yeah.
She just asked me that question the other day, and I felt like I was like, is there a right answer about the moment? But we had a date. She says it was our fourth date. I'm not as good at keeping track of those things, but
I know it was our fourth because that's where I stopped keeping track.
That's when you had a moment, Melissa?
I had a very strong feeling.
It was just a date. It was just a conversation and for the day, instead of we went out to eat later, but instead of meeting for a movie or for a meal, we just met at the park. It was nice weather still, and walked and talked, and we both shared pretty vulnerable, deep stuff about our experiences, and then I think both accepted and met each other where we were with grace and understanding and acceptance. And I think for both of us, it was a moment where it felt like that thing that had seemed so impossible for so long just happened real naturally. So that was definitely the turning point.
Well, and there was a lot of peace around sharing vulnerable things with you and being able to open up and feeling like, well, I'm not going to be taken out back and mortified for this.
Right.
So
I think that was a big moment too, Melissa, right? Because didn't we even talk about that on the intro episode that we just recorded a few months ago?
no, we
And
did
we
talk about
talked-
him. Well, actually,
Well,
maybe
he
we
was like
did.
boyfriend at the time.
Yeah.
But you I think you were talking just a little bit about the safety that you felt.
Yep, you're right. We did. Yeah, there's been a lot of
having
I mean,
those
even
conversations that were hard or awkward or that you
Yeah.
might not have been able to have before.
And there's always been something. I've always felt very safe around him. I mean, even our very first date, I felt like I almost wanted to sneak up on him and startle him and be like, "Woo!" But I didn't.
I love that.
He spotted me first. That's why I didn't.
Ah, that's cute.
But
Also,
there's-
let's not scare him away too quick.
Well, I mean, I haven't scared him away yet, so.
Yeah, that chip's
Well,
passed.
yes, but you also didn't walk up to him on the first date and be like, boom, as much as you wanted to.
Very different story.
How would you have responded, Josh, if you
It
did
would have
that?
been fine. It would have been fine.
Oh, I love it.
That's
So he
sweet.
would have been totally cool with it if
Yeah.
you're yourself.
Yeah.
I love that.
I've always been able to be myself with him, which is one of the things that started to give me strong feelings. So
Mhm.
But
I've
even
always
from
been-
the beginning, if you had done something like, I don't know, semi-weird, others might say. like,
She did plenty of
It would have been
semi-weird
fine.
stuff, so
yeah,
Oh, do
he's seen
tell.
all the
Marcus and
crazy-
Juju and I want to know.
You can tell the mole story.
she does. When she gets tired, she says
Do
really
tell.
funny things and asks really weird questions about things that are out of left field. And the first time we had watched a movie that featured, it was the Marvel Universe movie
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four, and it features mole people. So she asked a series of really deep questions about moles and had zero recollection of it the next day.
I thought he was asking me questions about moles.
That's awesome.
Oh my God. This
Just,
sounds like
why
the
were you
story of
asking
my
me
life.
about moles last night? I was like, oh no, dear.
Oh no, honey, that was all you. So, what's your favorite thing about Melissa?
Oh wow, put me on the spot. Oh, I mean,
Or
it's-
Melissa, what's your favorite thing about him if you have a quicker answer?
No,
I can go first
Okay, go
if you
ahead.
need a minute.
yeah, I'll think about it.
Yeah,
sure I
I
said the
always
right
need a minute. I hate being put on the spot.
Well, it's easy for me because I've already said it. I've always
Aw.
felt safe around him, and I've always felt like I can absolutely be myself. I like the way that I feel around him, and that has been a very rare thing for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It's like it's the natural rapport that we have and the safety, and not that it's always easy to be vulnerable. Sometimes it's still really hard, but it's always safe. And I know that's different for both of us than in our previous marriages, and so that's part of it. I think also just we have a lot of common interest, but not exactly all the same interests. So we complement each other well, and are able to have fun and surprise each other and all that. So,
We're a good team.
and that's I think if you'd asked me what's my favorite thing about Melissa, but what am I most looking forward to about being married to Melissa, it's that I think from a very early time in our relationship and talking about what we both wanted in the future, we identified that idea of marriage as a partnership and us both having the experience of not being in a partnership previously. And abusive or neglectful, and mine in a different way than hers, but definitely not a partnership. And then, identifying, for me, part of my healing over the last couple of years was identifying the feelings of loneliness and identifying and admitting that the partnership, the relationship was really at the center of what I wanted, but was afraid to get, or afraid to, yeah, well, this podcast not about me, but so I'm really
this
looking
moment's
forward
totally about you. That's
to
why you're
having
invited for it.
yeah, I'm looking forward to having a partner and doing things together. And just before the podcast, we were wrapping Christmas gifts and stuff together, and it felt really like we're in it together.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because when I've asked certain couples about their relationship, I want to do a mini series on love stories. And for example, my parents, I asked, like, was there a moment you knew? And neither of them had a moment in their mind that they knew. They just said that as they talked about what they wanted, as they talked about life together and the way they wanted to live life, it matched. It made sense. It wasn't just like this moment that, a lot of other people do have, like love at first sight, or I knew, or whatever. But a lot of couples that I have talked to over the last 6 months and asked this question, a lot of them don't have a moment. They look at each other and they're both like, did we? Like, well, yeah, maybe that. Well, okay, sort of. But a lot of them just say they were doing life together. It aligned. The things that they wanted matched. And they chose each other at the same level. It wasn't one like someone more than the other. It was a mutual coming together to see, is this what we want, and how do we want to live life? And if you both have a sort of solid idea and a healed perspective of what you're looking for, it makes it easy to weed out what does not align, and it makes it easy to identify like that what does. And the maturity that comes from a healed perspective negates like the bitterness and the resentment and the need for validation and the pulling on each other for feelings of validation. Those things look a lot different when you are walking out a spiritually or emotionally mature relationship, because you know who you are and what you want, in a way that you're not changing yourself to align with that other person. You just see if you align or not. And some of the happiest couples I know are like, no, there was no moment. We just dated, and then we planned together, and we always planned a future. It wasn't like, okay, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. Okay, we're blah, blah. Like, when it matches in certain ways, you don't have to put boxes around things and labels on things. And everyone is different. Everyone's totally different. But when you know who you are, what you want, and where you're going, then you can most effectively find someone who wants the same thing. And you don't need years to figure it out at that point.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you guys. What's your wedding date?
New Year's Eve, the 31st. Yeah.
I love it.
It's right around the corner.
Yes, it is. Are you ready?
We still have a lot to do. I'm like, am I ready to be married to him? Yes. Are we ready for the ceremony itself? No.
Well, I'm so glad Josh was able to join us for this, because
Thanks
you
for
guys are
having me.
getting married like 2 seconds from now.
Yeah.
Aw.
To wrap, we have about 5 minutes left. Just want to say to both Melissa and Josh, thank you so much for joining us. I know just sitting here, I thoroughly enjoyed listening to you guys. We discussed, strangely enough, we discussed narcissism and some of those characteristics definitely heard manipulation, along with some other things, and we also discussed the characteristics of love and how, and there's a sharp contrast between those two, obviously. But um,
Mhm.
I praise God for all of you because your stories are very encouraging to me, and I'm sure they're going to be encouraging to a lot of other people as well. So, um, Melissa, let me ask you: Do you have any? Would you have any closing nuggets for any of our viewers?
A closing nugget. Find your people. Find your tribe. Find those people who accept you at your silliest, accept you at your not so silliest. Because I think for me, in finding the people who were like, no, you are delightfully, ridiculously silly. And then having a friend who's like, you're going to find a man who's going to look at your silliness and just delight in it,
Mhm.
helped. I have a friend, Justine, who spoke that into life and existence. So find your tribe, find your people. There's healing in that. Come to the couch and watch your life pivot.
I love that. Come to the
Awesome.
couch and watch your life pivot.
Bumper sticker number 2.
I know, right? We have lots of jujuisms. Thanks for coming up with a great one for future merch and bumper sticker.
But once again, we thank everybody for joining us, and those of you that will be watching this, I know you're going to get a lot out of this. So we thank you. We want to let you know that God loves you, we love you, and we will see you next Monday, Lord's willing. Signing out.